Hello my friends and welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master SP Deck Challenge Part 24 of the series, while also being the second part to the Duel Trial, this August 2023 Duel Trial event, where I show off the replays. I know it's over, but I'll still show off the replays, to show you basically how I went about completing the event. Winning with all three decks. The one that was the most annoying for me, I'll tell you later. Right now I'll go through the news. So anyway, please like, share, and subscribe. I gotta go with the intro first, though, of course. And considering that notification bell, you can either ring the bell and select it to notify you of all my videos, which is mostly Master Duel, the ones you like the most, if there's a specific portion of Master Duel you like, or when I am going on to other games. But I'm not sure if I'll be continuing Master Duel when I go on to other games. Maybe if some people want me to, maybe I could just show off a little bit of the rank ladder from time to time. Maybe I could do it that way. But if no one says anything, maybe I'll just focus entirely on a different game, and I can just go about it one game at a time, since I'm not really posting that many videos a week anyway. Two, I think a week, kind of makes up for the fact that I'm only doing one game, focusing on one game. No, if I would be doing that every day, it might get kind of much, but since I'm only doing it 2 times a week, I think it's okay. Yeah, and also you can also select the balance, and be notified of no videos, and maybe even just check in from time to time, see if I moved on from Master Duel yet. And you can always change your mind and go with a different, go with personalized later on, or all later on if I moved on to a game that you actually liked. And maybe I can even make a community post about when I'm about to move on to a new game, so you can even check there. Anyway, let's get into the news. So first of all, versus. Apparently this is a new thing as well, so I guess I'll have to talk a little bit about that, but that's okay. So basically this kind of reminds me of the versus style event. For those of you who played Duel Links, they kind of had an event like this. And so you're basically choosing the light or dark, and then based on that, you get a different ban list based on which one you chose. Maybe if you pick light, you can only use light attribute stuff. And if you're dark, you can only use dark attribute stuff, but I guess we'll see. Maybe even it'll affect what spells and traps you can use. Maybe you can't use light based Allure of Darkness basically if you're in the light, but if you're only allowed to use dark anyway, I mean if you're only allowed to use light attribute monsters anyway, it shouldn't matter. But yeah, I'll look forward further into this and see if I'm right. But yeah, here's the two things. So of course the light and darkness, because no matter which one you choose, that fits both. So that's pretty cool. And then Harness of Chaos. So yeah, this is basically another take on the chaos. But instead of looking into both of the attributes, you're focused on either one or the other. At least I'm thinking that's how it is. We'll see. So yeah, see, of course that's, and I'll show off the replays later. So I guess this is also kind of how long do I have on this? Here, I'll show off. Here, let's see how long I have on this, because it says. Because if I have a while, maybe I can just show it off later. August 16th? Oh, so it's not even coming out until August 16th? Hold on. Because maybe I can go into more detail about this later. So it's to August 28th. So yeah, that is plenty of time. So I'll be able to show it off 18th and then also again on, what is that, 21st at least. Maybe the Friday as well. Could be like the last time I show it off. So I'll either have 2 or 3 times to show it off. I think that should be fine. I think I'll do that. So just talking a little bit about it. Showing off the Forbidden Limitless. Here, for anyone who wants to know, though, like, here, I'll at least show off what the Forbidden Limitless looks like. So here's what the Forbidden Limitless looks like for this event. So here's how it looks if you're dark. So yeah, it looks like the only allowing you to use darks, I think. Pretty sure all of the, yeah, I think I was right. You are only allowed to use dark attribute stuff. You're not allowed to use every single dark attribute, but you are allowed to use the ones that are a little bit less strong. Like bestials are banned because like then you can, because they would be really strong in an event where you can just like banish anything from your opponent's graveyard basically and special summon them out. Like you always are able to special summon them out when players are only allowed to use light and dark. I'm guessing every other attribute is banned except for the one you choose. So for darks, every single attribute is banned except for the darks that you are allowed to use. And for lights, every single attribute is banned except for the lights that you are allowed to use. So, Predator Plant, this might be a reason to choose dark. I'm not sure if the whole Predator Plant engine is live, but like, you at least have the Verde Anaconda, so maybe you can do some cool things with Verde Anaconda. So this might be a reason to choose dark. So you have access to Predator Plant. You also have access to at least some of the dangers. Also, Dark Worlds are fairly popular, so that might be a reason. Or you could just go with like a draw engine for Exodia. Maybe you could do something like that. So there's quite a few reasons to play Exodia. Maybe even like some of the Telemans, Labyrinth. A few pretty popular decks within the Dark attribute. Maybe even sprites. Maybe I can like join the dark attribute for sprites. I mean, I may not be able to use my the negators or maybe some of the extra deck, but maybe as long as I'm able to use the majority, I could consider using sprites because I'm still able to go with blue and jet and the spells, so that's not too bad. I'll have to think about that. And you still have access to malicious too, so you might actually be able to like do like the Verde Anaconda going into maybe the Destiny Hero Dark Phoenix Enforcer play. Anyway, yeah, I think, and then here's what you have like ban, limited, semi-limited for light. I'll probably go over this again in a little bit more detail, but here just to like kind of give you like a little bit of a first look at it. So yeah, I'm guessing light. Let's actually see which ones are banned in the light category. Well, of course it makes sense that like Bear Statue would be banned because I'm guessing it might just be like you're facing up against the dark players. So yeah, this would be incredibly unfair because then it wouldn't really hurt you at all since you're probably only playing light monsters anyway. Unless maybe you're generating non-lights off of tokens if that's allowed. Or maybe trying to monster reborn an opponent's monster wouldn't work. But for the most part, this probably wouldn't hurt you very much at all. And then of course Consecrated Light is really powerful, would be way too powerful against the opponent also, who's probably mostly playing Docs anyway. Yeah, Link Cross, of course, very powerful. Escados. I mean, it wouldn't be as powerful as the one that, like, where you call monster attributes. Is that even allowed? I guess that would be kind of hard, though, because, like, you're not probably not playing a bunch of attributes anyway. But I guess if Protos is allowed, maybe you could go for it, but I don't see how you would be able to. Anyway, here's the limited stuff. So maybe you could play Drytrons if you went to light. Like, they would be less powerful, of course, but like maybe they'd still be pretty good. Oh, that's something that Dark may not have access to. I don't think Dark would have access. If I'm thinking about it the correct way, I'm pretty sure Dark, when you're picking Dark, you can't use any non-Dark, so I'm guessing AA Zeus isn't available for the Dark. So, like, that is something that maybe the light people have over the Dark. Access to AA Zeus, which is a pretty powerful monster that can, like, wipe the board. I don't know which is, like, more powerful. Like, also access to Gamma, which is pretty powerful. Maybe there's a few more light hand traps than dark hand traps. I don't know. Like, I don't know the ratios there. It would be interesting seeing, like thinking about, like, what would be more powerful, like lights or darks? Because darks have access to a lot of really powerful decks, I would say. But lights have access to, like, Drytrons isn't bad, even if they are a little bit hit. AA Zeus is a really good card. Maybe a few of the hand traps like Gamma, maybe some others. I don't know. But of course there are like quote unquote hand trap style cards that both sections can use as well. Like not necessarily the monster hand traps, but I'm talking about like Infinite Impermanence is a really good one. Oh yeah, there's also Effect Veiler that's also a light. So that's interesting as well. Yeah, but those Evenly Matched is one that I'm thinking both sides can use. So yeah, not bad. But yeah, like you can and anyone who wants to say their thoughts on the versus event, their first initial thoughts on the versus event, can let me know. You can apparently also pick now which one you want to go for, but I might just wait. And you can also change freely during the event, so you don't. So if you pick dark, just to want to like just see what kind of decks you can make, and then you decide actually I want to do light. Oh yeah, and of course the iconic, the light, you can play Blue Eyes, and then if you're dark, you can play Dark Magician if you want. Probably not the best decks you can make in those attributes, but hey, like that's something you can also do if you wanted to make it more anime-like. But yeah, you can also freely change, so like you don't have to feel stuck depending on your initial choice. If you don't think it's as good as you thought, like you can feel free to change it to the other team. So that's pretty cool. So it's kind of different from the festival and Duel Links, where I believe you couldn't really change. But then again, in the Duel Links event, like they didn't have like special forbidden limit lists, like depending on what team you chose. Like you could basically choose. I mean, they had like ways to earn bonus points, but like generally people like opted not to even like think about it that way, because it was generally a bad idea in Duel Links for that festival just to like choose like your strongest deck and just use that, because the bonus points most of the time didn't really matter as much as like just more consistent wins, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's still how it is, but yeah, I remember being there when, yeah, basically it was like that. So anyway, there's that. Yeah, you can let me know what you think is the stronger of the two, which one you're gonna choose. If you think you're gonna stick with it, you're probably not. Like I'm guessing most people won't. Um, yeah, and like also like what deck you're going with. It might even be fun choosing between the two just to try out the different decks you could with both of those attributes. Anyway, maybe you could even like create like 2 different accounts. But then like you can always change out like the teams. So like I don't see why like needing to create 2 different accounts would really matter. I don't know. Seems fun though. And looks like that's it for the news. So I'll be going over that event in more detail for Friday's video. Yeah. Anyway. Now I'm gonna look into the Duel Trial, but I think it would be better. Actually, can I still go in here even though it ended? I think I can look at the replays, yeah. So yeah, I'll just go see if I can do the first win, which I can. That's good. This was the August 12th one. So 2156 versus Nino Gaming is the first one. So this should be the one with the first deck, with the Chaos deck. I don't know if that's the one I like the most. Like, it might have been the final deck that I liked the most. I don't know. Like, the other two were pendulum, so maybe it was the first deck that I did actually end up liking. I didn't really like the Vaylantz deck at all. It might be obvious why when you actually see the replay. I was just struggling to get a win with that deck because there's so many different lines you can do with the Vaylantz. Like out of like that's one of the more complicated pendulum decks. And pendulums are already pretty complicated, so just adding a new level of complication, it's just not very fun for me. But yeah, let's look at the first one. Here's the opponent's deck. Of course, these are all loners, so you'll see which loner deck my opponent went for. Oh yeah, so my opponent was going for the final deck, the one that combined like a little bit of 3 different. I didn't even notice that there was also this for the Dinomist. But yeah, I believe you can add either. Yeah, you can either add either one. So even though this is Dynamite, because it does say it's always shared as Dinomist, so that's why you're able to add it. And this is also pretty cool because if you like end up destroying like one of your Dinomists while it's in the pendulum zone with like the effect of like heavy metal foes, you can just get it right back to your hand with the charge. So that's pretty nice. So that basically makes it so that like you didn't even really have to give up anything for the Electromite. And it's also pretty cool because it makes for an easy way of getting the Astragas Sorcerer. And the Astragas Sorcerer is really nice because it's real easy to special summon him, since this event is more focused on just destroying stuff by battle or card effect, I think. So like even if you wait until your opponent's on your, there's a good chance your opponent's probably gonna destroy something so that you can special summon this, even if you and you can always proc it yourself too. So that's pretty nice. Anyway, let's go. So I'm playing the Chaos deck. At least I should be. Yeah, so pretty good hand, I would say. I can send off one of the attributes, so I can always like special summon one of these, which I think is what I did to start out with. I'll fast forward it. I'm still not exactly sure what the use of the Striker Dragon is. I guess it's like to get something more into the X deck, so you can like have something X deck either to pendulum further your pendulum summon, or to like utilize for some of your effects. But yeah, I also got charge, so I decided to do that. Yeah, see, and then I decided to banish the light that I sent. And now I can do Evil Swarm because I said, hey, like I can just destroy everything. So that's another nice thing about this deck. Evil Swarm is actually pretty sweet. And it just so happens to be a light. So that's pretty nice too. Oh yeah, also triggers the Chaos Nephthys. And I was able to get the banish when they summon, because it's on summon, so like they had to summon something before I did the banish, so I was able to banish whatever they summoned. So that was actually really nice. Here's the next one. I'm using Vaylantz, the one that was kind of hard to get a win with, and they're using Chaos. Maybe not the most graceful win here, but I'll take it because like I was just really annoyed with the deck. Still, I think my opponent was justified in just surrendering in this. Because like I probably did have like some pretty good plays. Like I can like tell you like what I could have done. Now, one of the biggest thing was I didn't really like that like I was timed for an already complicated deck. I mean, I get it, like of course there should be a timer, but like just makes it super difficult. Like you have the timer, it's complicated. Just a whole thing. Yeah, my opponent's bringing out that. Luckily, they brought the Chaos Angel without the light, I think. Yeah, they brought it without the light, I believe, and even though it's showing both, so I was able to just shuffle it back in, as you'll see, I believe. Oh wait, no, it was without the light. Okay, yeah, it was with that was a different one. So sync monsters. Yeah, see, and then they conceded, which I guess is fine because I could have probably brought out the fusion. Like I could have also brought out the fusion pretty easily. That's one of the nice things about this deck. You're able to pretty easily bring out the fusion, since you can both cheat out and bring it out with like your one monster that can fusion summon them out properly. So yeah, maybe not the most graceful win, but a win nonetheless. So I'll definitely take it. I also think that like Vaylantz was one of the lesser popular decks in general, because I didn't really see a ton of people playing Vaylantz. I think it was mostly just either the first one or the last one. So like basically I think if people wanted to play a pendulum deck, they most of the time just want to go for the final deck. Here's another chaos deck, and then I'm playing, which is kind of funny since it brings kind of the homage to the first replay I showed, but instead of me playing the chaos deck, I'm the one playing the Dinomist Dracoslayer build this time. Which I can see why they decided to go with like Dinomist and Dracoslayer, because like Draco is kind of like dragons, so maybe like they're all kind of like scaly creatures. That's basically the theme, like scaly creatures, playing a bunch of those style things. So okay, sure, that works. So, and also you got another look at each of the decks, at least a little look at each of the decks except for Vaylantz. But you can always go to part 1 if you want another look at the Vaylantz deck. There's also some of the Majespecter. See, I have a ton of ways of searching special from the deck. Also, what I like is that the level 8 synchro, this guy, is actually not too bad. Oh, this is the one where they made it, and they didn't do the light, so I was able to shuffle it in. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, this is pretty nice because it's got that shuffle card into the deck. And also, the access code isn't bad either. So I was able to go into both. See, I started off with the synchro to shuffle back in this. Oh yeah, also gives me a special and I can still do the shuffles. That's nice. So yeah, I shuffled that back in. And because it was destroyed, I got back to my hand right away. So it's really nice. This deck is... I can see why people like this deck too. Like, basically, you're not really losing anything from some of the effects that you would think kind of cause you to lose stuff. Like, I mean, technically, you probably don't really lose much from the Vaylantz, but I think, like, it's much easier to just get back your resources. Anyway. Yeah, and see, Astrograph, really nice. There's also that, so now you have, like, a way to kind of make a comeback if, like, your opponent tries destroying some of your stuff. Which I think is what happened. Yeah. As you'll soon see. So I decided to... The only unfortunate thing is I don't think there's a... There's a Link 3. But I didn't go into it. So I guess you could go into it somehow. But I didn't go into it. So maybe I could have had game, but again, like, not the greatest when it comes to, like, playing really quick. So I just wanted to make some decent enough plays to get rid of the board. So yeah. So now they're going for the Zelia. See, they destroy something and they get rid of it, but it doesn't matter because I had Astrograph Sorcerer. So that would just replace it, and I also would, I think, get another special off of the Astrograph. See, that wasn't bad. Yeah, see, they just had to get rid of the Zelia right away because they didn't have 3 spells. That's one of the downsides. And also the fact that you banish the chaos space can be kind of a downside when it comes to trying to make a Zelia. Anyway, I guess if you still want to, like, destroy something in a pinch, it could still be good, even if you know you're sending it to the graveyard. But definitely you want to try to make it when you do have the 3, I would think, so you don't just lose it right away. Unless it doesn't matter. I think most of the time you probably would want to play it like that. Okay, I should be able... I should have time to show off this final deck here, like I said I would. And then at the very end, I'll also show off the pack opening. It'll be a separate clip in case, like, anyone's wondering, like, maybe if it sounds a bit different. If anyone can tell, that's why. Because if it's a separate clip, because of course it ended yesterday, so that's another way you would just be able to tell, because it ended yesterday, and that's how I'm still able to open the pack. I kind of wish they would allow you to open up whenever you wanted, like save and open up later, but unfortunately they don't, so that's how I have to do it. But it's not too bad. So here's the final deck. Opponent's deck this time, where they're using Dark Magician. But not just Dark Magician, they're combining with Magnet Warriors and a few of the anime stuff like Buster Blader. They're just doing a whole onslaught of different things. So a little bit of a lot of the anime stuff, so which makes a good for a good final duel, like just like basically taking all the biggest like Duel Monsters, like original like Duel Monsters anime, Japanese animation cards, and just like making it so that like they're not, because like these cards like are technically can be like within the same deck, but probably not the best way to play it, because like now you have to like shove in like other cards that maybe don't necessarily work together the best, like also like removing some of the ratios for some of these decks that might want a little bit more ratios, like magnets maybe want a little bit more ratios on stuff. So do the magicians. So not the best, but like it's just a good homage to like the original Japanese. Kind of like how like the final duel like basically where it was, because I think these are a lot of like Yugi's cards too, like where he eventually ended up with all the three of the Egyptian gods. So I kind of think this is kind of like paying homage to the final duel, like Lil Yugi versus the Pharaoh, where you're kind of like Lil Yugi, although your deck doesn't really reflect that, I don't think, very much, because like instead of like, but I guess instead of like Lil Yugi, it's basically Jaden playing against the Pharaoh now. So it can still kind of work. Like he could have made a comeback, played against Jaden a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, the deck, yes, and so that's why it's called the King of Games. Anyway, the deck description reads: a deck with a large number of high-level ace monsters, with a focus on Dark Magician in particular. Not only can it be played to the field through special summoning, etc., but it can also be used as a fusion material. Soul Crossing can also use an opponent's monster for the tribute summon of a Divine Beast type monster, and it's another useful card for dealing with the opponent's powerful monsters. So yeah, Magnet Warriors there, so you can have like tributes for bringing out the Valkyrion, although you only have one of each, so it might not be the easiest thing ever. But at least you can just keep them into your hand and just when to get the Valkyrion, just tribute them from the hand. So it's probably fun. It's nice that you can just tribute them from the hand as well to bring out the Valkyrion. Dark Magician, pretty easy summon with the souls if you can get the souls. You just send the Dark Magician and then you can special summon it out of the graveyard, or special summon this card out if you'd rather special summon this card out. Maybe if you want to try to get the draws instead. Also it works really well with the circle. But of course with less Dark Magician cards, that's another reason why maybe you want to have the ratios up, because you might have a little bit of a bigger chance to whiff, unless you have a way of like stacking. But like, I mean, it's also not too bad, since you also have the ability to be able to ban something by special summoning Dark Magician. So if you already have this set up, maybe you don't care if you whiff on that. Karibo, protection, but now you also have, well, Water Pawn. You could add this to your hand by drawing through a card effect. That works. Not sure how many the ways you have of adding it to your hand, but it is a free special summon. So that's another thing you want to do. Like, you also have like special summons to eventually end up into the gods a little bit easier. You also have like stall monsters, like monsters that are a little bit hard to destroy. Like my opponent has monsters that are a little bit harder for me to destroy. So they can like leave them on the field, hopefully, and then they can bring them bring out one of the Egyptian gods that way. Dark Magician Go can also can be basically kind of extra copies of stuff that can also be specimen off of the souls. Because you can also send her, since she is level 6, and say level 6 or higher. Archfiend of Gilfa, Glypha, this was also one that I remember. Oh, it's nice that you can send to graveyard in any way, so maybe you could like polymerization with it and still get the effect. To have one of your opponent's monsters lose 500 attack, because generally you would probably want to put on opponent's monster. Buster Blader just can gain a good amount of attack, and also is useful for the Buster Blader support in the X deck. That's what mostly it's going to be. And also because some of these kind of call for Dark Magician and Buster Blader, so you can go into those as well. Swift Gaia, normal summon without tributing. So yeah, also like ways of getting like big stat monsters like on the field a little bit easier, so that maybe those can survive. Another easier special summon. Of course, Obelisk, Lifer, and Ra. Can mess with the opponent a little bit. Fortunate with Ra, like you're either messing with the opponent or you're just getting a bunch of like attack. But I mean, maybe if you have one of the spells, like you could do both. Like this one, you could just do both effects. Or actually, you could also technically just send them to the graveyard and then monster reborn them out. But then for the ones that can be monster reborned out, they get sent to the graveyard. This one you can special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra from the monster reborn, which you normally wouldn't be able to do. But it's basically treated like the others and just sent to the graveyard at the end of the turn. Soul Crossing is pretty nice because it gets rid of opponent's monsters and also allows you to summon Sacred Beast. So that's pretty nice. Fusion Summon for Buster Blader, and some of them are actually pretty good. Like changing all. This changes all dragon monsters to defense. I'm not actually sure how much that's really gonna affect me. Like I'm not really playing like a huge dragon deck, and even if I was, maybe like if they brought this out, I would just think like, well, maybe I won't go into a bunch of dragons then, because they're not really playing that one card that turns everything into a dragon. So I can probably pretty easily like just avoid that effect. And then a few other ways of fusion summoning, since the Buster Bladers don't necessarily have to be fusion summoned using this card. Thousand Knives, yeah, more destruction. Yeah, like a few different ways of fusion summoning. And some of these monsters will fit like any other criteria for any other fusion support cards. So that's at least that's pretty nice. Maybe. I think this one, the one that calls for Dark Magician and Buster Blader, does fit all three. Yeah. So if nothing else, like you would be able to fusion summon him with any of the fusion cards, so that's pretty nice. And then extra draw. The banishing is pretty nice. It does target though. It shouldn't really matter. Probably. And then Dark Renewal. You can get rid of an opponent's monster. You get rid of one of yours, but then you're just trading it for another one anyway. You just, I'm pretty sure you basically have to have a different target. You could just special summon out the same target if it was a dark spellcaster anyway, but you do need to have a different target in order to activate this. Mirror Force, more destruction, and I'm probably going to be attacking anyway, so this could actually be effective, so I may want to... I mean, I probably want to... I mean, I'm not going to be playing this again, but... Yeah, they're definitely a lot better when, like... versus my deck that like maybe like is like not thinking as much about destroying these cards. Though like I did get hit by a few of these like in some of the festivals that they had. So yeah, like these are actually nice cards like that you can still catch the opponent off guard with, but yeah, they're generally better options. Navigation is another way to special summon the Dark Magician and special summon straight from the deck. It can also negate face-up spells or traps, which is pretty nice. DNA Surgery makes everything into a different monster type. So that's how you can be changing everything into Dragon, but my opponent is only running one, so it might be kind of hard to put this, but I guess they could just wait until they get this before going into Buster Blader stuff, and then once they actually have it, it becomes a lot better because they can just change everything in mine into a dragon. And then Eternal Soul adds these, so having just one of each is fine, and also special summons Dark Magician. It has to be from the hand or graveyard, but if you already special summon it from the deck using navigation, now you can like have them in the hand or graveyard, so not bad. It also like unaffects every Dark Magician by card effects, but of course the downside of when it's destroyed, it destroys everything, every monster on their field. But maybe they could have something out that either protects it or like have a monster that can't be destroyed by card effects, so it's not as bad. Dark Paladin is sort of more specific negation. Buster Blader is more specific material, but this is a good one to bring out. This really punishes like dragons, so you kind of want the DNA Surgery before you bring. My opponent probably would want to set up the DNA Surgery before bringing this out, because then it would really punish my deck. Dark Cavalry is more negation, but my opponent needs to make sure they have cards in the hand. Also, Piercing also gives itself more attacks. This is nice for draw, and also like just special summoning a Dark Magician and Dark Magician go when it's destroyed. So that can also kind of make up for the Eternal Soul drawback, because even if it gets destroyed by the Eternal Soul, it'll still be able to do the special summon, and then those won't be destroyed, of course, because it's like after the fact. And then the final one is a Link. Which is the Blacklisted Soldier. And of course it's good because you have a lot of high level monsters, so you're most of the time gonna be able to get the bonus effect of not being destroyed or targeted, or being able to be targeted. Its effects are kind of slow, but like the longer it stays out, the better it becomes. And it's kind of like requires a little bit of thinking in order to use the effect, because like since the second attack isn't until the next battle phase, it kind of makes it so that if you choose that, you can't choose the others. So now you're thinking like maybe like I choose this not for immediate value, but I'm thinking like it'll probably remain on the field, and you're also thinking that your opponent just won't kill you right away. But when it rolls around back to my turn, like is what the thinking here is, then like I can actually choose 2 effects instead of 1. You probably only want to like choose the second one like once, just so you can like choose like 2 next turn. I'm not sure how many times, but I guess if you like choose, because you are kind of basically giving up on the other 2 every time you choose a second effect. So you gotta think about that way. Anyway, so there's that deck. Okay, so that's all the decks. So once again, in the next video, just to give a little bit of a just remind you what I'm going to be doing in Friday's video. That's gonna, since we got the news for the Versus event, I'll be going over more of that in Friday's video, and I'll also be and today what I just as recap, what I did was I went over the replays for the Duel Trial event, and I also went over the deck overviews, the final deck overview for the opponent's deck in the SP deck challenge part 2. Okay, so now what I'll be doing is I'll be going into the pack opening for the Duel Trial of the newest pack, which, as a reminder, it is Rage of Chaos. And if you need a reminder on what cards can be found here you go. I'll do a little bit of a scroll through. So this is a good pack if you're looking for cashiers, if you're looking for more chaos support, if you're looking for some Dracoslayer support. It's got a bunch of like different archetypes you can be looking into. It's even got a few extra Sky Striker stuff, a few like adventurous stuff, but like some of it is in the rare normal category, so I'm not sure like if you really want to be like opening up packs for those, unless you are already planning to go for the SRs and URs, and then maybe you get like those other cards just as a bonus. Yeah, so there's all that. The biggest thing that I'm looking for once again is the Fenrir, and I may just end up crafting them. It does got a few SRs and URs for Sky Strikers, so if you're looking for Sky Strikers, like maybe it's good, like even if you like you also are just missing this. But if you're only missing this and you got all the old Sky Striker stuff, you might just want to craft the Azalea. Even if you're missing the Shizuku and the Azalea, you may not need a ton of copies of either one of these, so maybe just craft them. The bigger reason to go for this deck is if you want the newer Chaos stuff, some Amazement stuff. I'm not sure how many Amazement cards are in here. There's a few, so maybe it's worth it. This might even be Sky Striker. That might be okay. So maybe it is worthwhile going for Sky Striker. I'm not sure, but like Cashier, there's quite a few cards in the big rarities for Cashier, so that's probably one of the bigger reasons you also want to go for that as well. Also with the Vaylantz, as the Dinomist, it might be only like one that's high rarity, so maybe you could just craft that. Anyway, I'll be going to pack opening now, so I hope everyone enjoyed what I did earlier in the video, and I hope everyone enjoys the pack opening that's staying for that. Oh yeah, and before I'm gonna be going into this a little bit more in the outro, but I just want to say, like, for for those of you who want to promote the channel a little bit, you can feel free to do in the comments. I'll be setting up a little bit of, it won't be a pin comment because I can only pin one of my comments. I would rather pin the verse discussion, but I'll still be making another another little post where you can reply to it to promote your channel a bit. Just please if you do post a link, which is fine, please also post the channel name, because I will not click on links, because I do not, because like you never know if a link can be sketchy or not, so I'm not going to be clicking on links. So if you do just post a link, I won't look at the channel. I'm not sure if I'm going to be deleting like comments that only have links or not. I'll have to think about it. But yeah, also please give a disclaimer if your channel is family friendly or not. Maybe if you post a link and do a disclaimer, I won't look at it, but maybe I'll just believe you. I'm not sure. Maybe I will just delete. So I would say, just to be sure that your post won't be deleted, if you do post a link, please also give the channel name so I can look it up that way, and then I can like check out your videos and see if it's like family friendly. Make sure. And then if you subscribe, I can like also give your channel a shout out if you would like to let me know that you subscribed, because otherwise I might not know that you did subscribe. so yeah, so, and then if anyone has any questions about that, you can feel free to ask me questions in the comments. I just want, I just know that a ton of other YouTubers that don't really like when people promote other channels, but I want to be one of the few that actually okay with that, because maybe like that'll help me just to stand out a bit more. Anyway, now I'll move on to the pack opening. So here's the pack opening I get for the 3 victories from the Duel Trial. Which pack is it? We're about to find out. It's Rage of Chaos. Okay, and then here's what it looks like. Oh, nice and big. So let's see if I get anything good. I want the Fenrir. I might have got it. Chaos Mirage. That's what I got instead. Is that good? Yeah. It's, I mean, at least I can like still technically use it in sprites, though. Will I? Probably not. I think it works better in Chaos. Like, I mean, sure, I play a lot of docs and sprites, but I mean, it's not really that great of an effect. Dracoback, another Dracoback, not too bad. Would have been nice to be hollow though. And Terran, Dark Flare, Turbo Tainted Hot Rod GT19. It allows you to do a quick synchro when it's flipped face up, so if you can figure out how to flip it face up during the opponent's turn, you could basically do a quick synchro basically any level monster, since it like can change its level too. That's kind of cool. Live Twin Lila, yeah, of course, like this one's good for getting the Kisa kill, and then you can like go into the evil twins links pretty easily. Pretty nice. And then more Chaos. So yeah, this pack seems to really like Chaos as well as having the cashier stuff. So this is what I the quantities I own of each. Looks like I didn't have a playset of a few of these cards. Looks like I got a playset of a few of these cards now that I didn't have originally. But overall, I would say it's just average. It's cool that I got the Chaos Mirage Dragon. still, like, it's an SR, so I shouldn't complain too much. I'll probably just end up crafting the Fenrir, to be honest. I don't know if it's worth cracking packs. Like, I think the only card I really care about is the Fenrir. And since it's only one card, I'll probably just craft 2 of them and then find room for them in the Sprite deck. But I didn't want to craft them until I actually opened this pack. Because in case I did get it from this pack, like, it would have been cool. And maybe I'll wait until until like I'm actually ready to put in the pack, like, just in case, like, maybe another Duel Trial comes before I even think of, like, putting in a pack yet. And then I'll be glad I waited, because, like, another one of these packs come along. But, like, since it's, like, so rare that you're getting, like, ultras, I guess not too rare, but I think it's rare than getting, like, super, like, so I basically, I'm going for an ultra, like, it's already kind of hard, and then it's a specific ultra, so it's not too big of a deal if I craft it and I end up getting, because, like, it's probably not too likely that I'll get in the pack, and then it'll kind of stink a little bit. But I can always disenchant it if I want. Or maybe I'll just hold on to a 3rd copy just in case it ever does go to 3. Not sure if I would use 3 in the Sprite deck, even if I was able to. But hey, that's something to think about if ever it does go to 3. Anyway, please like, share, and subscribe, considering the notification bell. And thank you everyone who stayed for any of the content in the video today, and I'll hopefully have everything down in the description, like the verse, the thank yous, as well as the verse in the description in the pinned comment, so anyone who wants to feel free on that. And I'm also gonna have a place where you can, like, feel free to promote your channel. That won't be a pinned comment, but if you want to, like, respond to that and promote your channel, you can feel free. But, like, please do give a disclaimer if your channel isn't family friendly, and maybe, like, I'll even shout you out if you let me know that you subscribe to me. So that could be like a little thank you for subscribing. So yeah, and if you want to know any other information, you can feel free to ask me any questions about that in the comments. Bye everyone, hope you enjoyed.